Hi guys! I wanted to make this video to show you guys how I review and look at blood work from a functional medicine perspective. This is exactly what I do with my clients to help them gain a different perspective about their health. I have a diagnostic lab that I work with to run a custom panel that I look at. So today I'm going to show you my blood work and we're going to go through it and exactly how I would do it with a client and kind of show you exactly what I'm going to do as a result of looking at that panel. All right, so before we get started, I do have to say that I'm not a doctor. I do not diagnose, I do not treat, I do not prescribe any medication. This info is solely my opinion and based on my educational background, and it is not intended for medical advice. All right, let's get to it. All right, so here are my labs, and as you can see, a lot more is flagging than what is actually marked and flagged on a report that you get from your doctor. It is because I use functional medicine ranges, and functional medicine ranges are going to be a lot tighter than traditional ones that you get from your doctor. They're going to help you kind of dig in and get to the root cause a lot better than what you see from your doctor. So I've already kind of gone through and marked mine up, and all of these numbers I'm going to go through. I cross-reference all the numbers and I kind of work with my symptoms of kind of how I'm feeling. I worked with my eye report and I was able to kind of put the most likely thing that is actually happening with my body and what it is pointing and potentially pointing to. So I already wrote all that for you, so let's get going. So starting off, my white blood cells are a little bit flagging low, so that could point to a potential for a chronic infection in my body. I also wrote over here, if you can kind of see, these are values when I was a meat eater, and that blood work was done about 3 years ago. So things have kind of shifted a little bit differently, so it's interesting to see different ones. So my hemoglobin is flagging as low, which could point to a potential for iron anemia. My MCV is flagging a little bit high, so that could point to a potential need for B12 or folate. Right here, my RDW is low. So that actually could point to some stress or some depression. And if you go down to my monocytes are high. So when monocytes are this high, it actually will point to a chronic infection. And up here, we saw another chronic infection marker. So two things right there are kind of telling me I probably have a chronic infection going on. Moving on to my glucose, which is 117, super high. This is interesting to me. It is not because I eat fruit, it is what I eat fruit around. So it's something that I'm gonna work on. I'll talk about that later, but I'm not really that worried about it. It is because I eat a high fruit diet. Your blood sugar is going to skyrocket when you change your diet to a high fruit diet. And I don't really have anything to compare it to. I mean, yeah, this was when I was a meat eater. I didn't eat a single piece of fruit when I ate that way. I eat all fruit here. So I mean, it's definitely not the fruit. I know that my body's gonna come back in line. I do need to watch my fat. That is gonna help me a lot. So moving on to some other markers, my bun is low. And when you are a vegan or a vegetarian, it is okay for that to be low. So I'm not worried about that whatsoever. My creatinine is gonna be flagging low. So that means I could possibly be not eating enough calories. I could possibly have some kidney stress going on. It's flagging. My EGRF is flagging a little bit high over here. So kidney stress right there. There's something kind of going on with my kidneys. Moving on to this section, we're gonna look at my electrolytes, and they're all flagging pretty low. They were kind of in range right here. This one was actually low and this one got better, but they're all a little bit low. So my potassium flagging low, my chloride is flagging low, my carbon dioxide flagging low. It could potentially point to some adrenal fatigue issues, some hypothyroid issues, some alkalosis issues, some metabolic acidosis stress. So there's something going on inside my body. My levels aren't quite right. So moving on to the protein, that is flagging high. But interesting enough, when I was a meat eater, it was a lot more high, and this is out of range, completely out of range. So the most likely cause would be dehydration, which is really interesting to me because I eat so many fruits. So I feel like as I get my numbers in line, this will kind of come in more in line. But yeah, I'm not low protein like you would think as a fruitarian. So moving into my urinalysis, my specific gravity was pretty low. Interestingly enough, I drank a lot of water before this test because I was so nervous about my veins not popping. I drank a gallon of water before, and I drank probably 2 liters before my test. So my urine was extremely clear. Compared to the other people, when I put the thing up, it was like not even. So this is not, to me, I'm not really that worried about it. I know I drink too much water. My pH though, my pH is right exactly in line, and that makes me excited. So moving on to my cholesterol markers, my cholesterol is actually popping low over here. When it's showing low, it could actually point to a potential for oxidative stress in my body, inflammation, and right here is where I possibly had that first trigger of, oh, there could be some issues with metal or mold in my body. If you go down to my HDL is high, meaning that it could point to some stress, it could point to some autoimmune issues, potentially. My VLDL is also high, possibly some liver stress, some body stress. So this is some things that kind of need to come in line. So moving on, this was an interesting one for me because I live in sunny Southern California, but my vitamin D is low. It is even flagging low as a doctor marker. So typically, if you have any sort of autoimmune issues, you're not going to see this number over 50. But the healthiest people that you know that have the most vital, optimal health are 70 plus. So, I mean, I want to at least get this to 50, and if not, my goal is 70. So that one was a red flag for me. Moving down, my phosphorus, another one, is low. It could point to that I'm eating a high carb diet, which I 100% am because of the fruit. But also with the fat and the starches mixed in with it, it's not helping. But also a parathyroid weakness, which is something I saw in my eyes. So I do know that that's an issue, and that is it's a calcium need right there. So moving on to an LDH test. Basically my LDH is low, meaning that I am not going to be good at fasting. There's some issues with my glucose metabolism possibly, which we've already seen that. I don't do actually too well fasting, so that is interesting, but I would like to fix that number. Another one of my markers that is pointing low is magnesium. This can point to a stress issue or a potential adrenal or liver dysfunction issue. So that's another number. So moving on to the thyroid panel, doctors typically will run your TSH, and that's all they will run. And if it's high or low, they'll tell you have an issue with your thyroid. And you have to go deeper because an issue with your thyroid is not always a root cause of your thyroid. It could be a root cause of something else. So right here, I've got some low numbers. My TSH is actually in range, but when I was a meat eater, it was low. It was actually flagging as low. My T4 is flagging as low, so that could mean a hypothyroid condition or an iodine need. My T3 uptake is also flagging as low, which could mean a selenium or also an iodine need. So moving on to my iron. This is something my doctor didn't test as well because I don't have previous ones, but my iron looked great. My UIBC is high, which could point to a potential for iron anemia. My iron, just kidding. Moving on to my iron panel, it is something that I didn't have run previously, but my TIBC is in line. My UIBC is actually flagging high, which could point to a potential for iron anemia. My iron is flagging as low, so iron anemia, hypothyroid conditions, or an infection are all things that could possibly be. It should actually be an 85, you guys, and it's at a 61, so I need to get it higher. There's something going on right there. And the last marker that is flagging is my ferritin, which is flagging as low. It could point to a potential for iron anemia or parasites. All right, so digging through all of that, what does that all mean? I mean, obviously I've got some low iron, I've got some low thyroid conditions going on, I've got some stuff going on, but why? Is it because I have a chronic infection? Is that affecting all my stuff? And kind of when I dug in further, I'm able to kind of look at different things that, oh, okay, if all these markers are off, that's probably most likely going to be this. And when I did that with mine, it kind of kept coming back to mold. And we all know that I had a leak in my house a while ago, and I don't know if it was all the way fixed. There's kind of a mildewy, like humid smell in my apartment, so that's definitely something I need to address. But also, my dad told me when I was young, we lived in a house that was full of mold. So I might have some potential chronic infection of mold going on in my body, and I've probably had it for a while. So that's what I'm gonna go after. So some of the things that I'm gonna do personally because of my blood work is I'm gonna include Brazil nuts every single day. Brazil nuts have selenium, and we saw in my blood work that I need selenium for my thyroid. I'm also gonna order a cast iron pan. I know, crazy, I'm not cooking with one, and I don't really cook too much, but when I do, I need to be cooking with a cast iron pan. That's gonna help my iron numbers. Number three, I'm gonna watch the fat in my diet. You guys, I know this, like I should not be eating as much fat. When you eat fat with fruit, it's gonna require an insulin response. But when you eat fruit all by itself, it diffuses straight into your cell for pure energy, and it doesn't affect your insulin levels, it doesn't affect that. And so I'm not combining them, but I am eating high fat meals at night. So the next day when I'm eating that fruit meal, that fat's still kind of in there and it's messing me up. So I have to be cognizant of this. I'm gonna cut out all the heavy oils, no more canola oil, no more sunflower oil. Like, really watch that stuff, you guys. It's just not good for your body, especially right now with me. I gotta get this glucose under control. I'm also gonna be adding in more greens, so more salads, make sure I have some good herbs in there, a couple different kinds of lettuces, just a variety of greens to kind of get more iron, more vitamins, all of that. I eat a lot of fruit, but I know I need to eat more greens. I am gonna be taking some sea moss and Bloodwork capsules. That's gonna give me the iodine. It's gonna give me a lot of iodine, and you guys saw 2 different markers that are pointing for potential for iodine needs. I'm also gonna get a ton of iron and calcium from these pills, so I'm a big fan of sea moss. I like it a lot, and I'm excited to see how it makes me feel. The one supplement I am gonna be taking is vitamin D, because you guys saw how low that is, but I am gonna make sure that I get outside at least 20 minutes a day, get that vitamin D on your skin, because that's what you need. Unprotected vitamin D directly on your skin is what you guys need. I'm in sunny Southern California, but sometimes it's not always sunny, and I've been bad about getting outside, so I'm hoping to get that number back in range when I retest next year. And the last thing I'll probably do is to make sure I add in some sunflower seeds for thiamine to kind of help with my numbers and help with my thyroid numbers. So I am doing something new this time because I want to kind of see what it's like and see if it's something I can help my clients even further with. I'm putting myself through a cell core protocol that I learned all about through my Bloodwork class. I kind of learned a roadmap of exactly how to address metals and molds, and that's kind of what I'm going after. So first of all, I'm going to be starting with a foundations protocol to kind of go in and clean up anything in there, kind of get mitochondrial damage minimized, bust my biofilms, and then we're going to go after parasites, because I feel like I probably might have some parasite issues. I know I did a parasite cleanse about 1.5 years ago, but I'm not sure if I got everything out. They might be affecting me, and might as well go in there and clean it all up. After I address parasites, then I'm gonna address the mold issues and go in. So I've got about probably 3 to 6 months of supplements I'm gonna be taking to kind of mitigate this, get my numbers back in line. I will be retesting in November. I'm gonna wait, give it a year, kind of make sure all of the things that I said I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna do. And really kind of just be an advocate for my own health and really watch out. So I hope you guys learned something. Thank you for watching, and if you're interested in getting your blood work reviewed and read, reach out to me, you guys. Click the link in my bio and book a free call with me. Let's jump on a call and see how I can help you.